Liverpool are as close to the relegation zone as they are to Arsenal at the top of the table. This comes as they enter another international break, where Arne Slot will have time to reassess, regroup, and rethink his strategy. Now, several of his players will be missing over this time to compete at international level, which doesn't help his cause or his case. People thought maybe Liverpool were back a little bit after their two wins over Aston Villa and Real Madrid, particularly after the performance against Real Madrid. However, Man City showed all that up and showed all that good work to mean nothing. More worryingly for Liverpool is, look, the headline from that game was the fact that Liverpool's goal was ruled out. That could have made it 1-1 and could have changed the complexion of that game. However, I think the real story is just how far off it Liverpool are. Defensively, they still look all over the place. They look, as mentioned by Gary Neville on the commentary, Liverpool seemed to have practiced their shape, had practiced their off the ball work to be able to get in defensive positions to nullify the Man City threat, particularly in the first half. However, as time went on, Man City were able to work their way around that and get their goals. It was interesting watching the first half, particularly in terms of just how Man City were able to play out of defence so easily and play their way around Liverpool's press. Now, the press wasn't incredibly intense, which is quite unlike the Liverpool that we were used to under Klopp. Obviously, it's not under Klopp anymore, it's under Slot, so it's a completely different system that Slot's trying to implement, but it's not working at this present time, and that's seen over the last few weeks. He needs to rethink and evaluate what needs to be done at that club. Now, all this seems to be pointing towards problems with Liverpool, but it should be remembered that Man City did perform incredibly well in that game and showed exactly why they should be second in the table. Look, Man City are not what they were under Pep Guardiola several years ago when they won the treble, but they still have several good players. They're rebuilding and they're a very good team with a man up front who can score goals at will, and with Donnarumma in net who, when needed, can keep the ball out of it. But going back to Liverpool, it is worrying for the club just where they are. To be winning a league title and then to be sitting below Manchester United, level on points, let's be fair. But as I say, they're only 8 points off the relegation zone, which is the same amount of points they are away from Arsenal at the top of the table. Now, it's only 11 games in. Arsenal dropped points. It was Liverpool's time, if they wanted to at least pick up a point and get within 7 to remain what they had at the start of the weekend. But obviously they were unable to do this, and so the lead is stretched. And the thing is I believe Liverpool had an 8-point lead over Arsenal at the earlier stage of the season, after their win against Arsenal particularly, but I do believe they had quite a lead, and that was clawed back very quickly, and obviously it's completely went the other way. But that is because of Liverpool's crumble, and Arsenal continued winning and continued going on and performing, and obviously because Arsenal has shut people out defensively with their with their winning run coming to an end against Sunderland, because Sunderland scored 2 goals, which not many other sides have managed to do in the recent couple of years under Arteta, which is to score several goals in a game. But it just tells you enough, and it tells you what you need to know about the way that Liverpool and Arsenal are approaching this. Arsenal understand that defences win championships, and keeping the opposition out, as boring as it may be, will win a title. Whereas Liverpool want to play free-flowing football, want to attack, want to pack the attacking positions while ignoring the defence and leaving them very vulnerable. Liverpool need defensive midfielders, a man whose only job is there to defend. Now, look, they went after Zubimendi, who would have been perfect, but the fact that Gravenberch, he's alright, but he's not an out-and-out defensive midfielder who that is his task, that is his role, that's what he always trained for and wanted to be. He's still a creative player. Obviously, Van Dijk and Konate are being left short at the back, and there is space behind the fullbacks to exploit. Now, I'm not going to get everything solved in this video. and I thank you very much for listening. If a like and a wee subscription or follow would be appreciated at this point if you've watched this far. But I'll leave it at this. Slot could be in serious trouble should he not assess this correctly and get Liverpool firing again. A minimum for Slot this season is to get Champions League football. Should he fail to do so, his job will be on the line, I reckon. And I feel that despite Liverpool managers being given time, particularly Klopp, Rodgers at the time as well, and before that you had Rafa Benitez. The only manager who didn't seem to have time was Roy Hodgson, but that was going really, really bad at the time. I feel that he'll be given the season no matter what. Well, unless he turns into Roy Hodgson, which is unlikely. But I feel he'll be given the season, and then from next season he'll be judged on whether Liverpool are back where they should be according to their fans and the board, or if they're below expectations again. And if they're seriously below expectations again, then his job will be given to someone else. There was talk about Klopp coming back. I think that's a fantasy. And look, as I say, thank you very much for watching. If there's anything else you want to hear from me, I look forward to it. And look forward to the comments and hearing what you think of this kind of half assessment. I can get into it fully if you want. But that's up to you. Just let me know. Thank you for listening. I've been Brendan McGilligan. I look forward to talking to you soon.